In schools, we were taught that a promise is a debt that must be kept, but nobody taught us that political debts are unpaid, unborrowed debts. I recently watched a video of a young boy burning his certificate for not being able to get a job 11 years after graduation. Apart from the fact that there's frustration everywhere, starting from our attitude to life, coupled with the insensitivity of our political establishment and the insatiable demand from our religious leaders that is currently breeding hardship, deprivation, and resentment in the country, one is also tempted to ask, this chap burning his certificate and so many of our graduates, are they employable? Anyway, that's a story for human resources people in most private establishments. They will tell you, what they are going through. Imagine a lawyer in Big Brother Nigeria not knowing which arm of government the Supreme Court justices belong to. That's a story for another day, sha. Our universities today, including most of the privately owned, are poorly funded and ill-equipped to prepare the modern mind for the society of today. Yet, our government is deducting a whopping 40% from the internally generated revenue from the same poorly funded universities when no fee will train an average modern day graduate. Yet, this same government is splashing billions on presidential air fleet and $6.1 million on a presidential yacht and millions of dollars for feeding and, of course, Madame Must Day, SUVs for all constitutional office of the First Lady. These are people who preach modernity. Even the lawmakers are not left out of the bazaar, as the Senate and the House of Representatives are splashing a whopping sum of 57 billion naira on foreign-made vehicles for themselves. Also, the various state houses and House of Assemblies are not left out. Most of them are driving SUVs, and the roads in those states are not vehicle-worthy, yet the states collect money from vehicle owners as roadworthiness. While other countries are borrowing money to build public infrastructures like underwater bridges, floating solar farms, and electric cars, in fulfillment of electoral promises, we are borrowing money to fund corruption, ostentatious lifestyles, and ineptitude contrary to electoral promises made. Now, one borrowed 10 billion to strengthen our local currency, even as the previous 3 billion that NNPC borrowed was swallowed without traces. I don't even want to talk of the loan that Buhari took before. Anyway, this government said they will continue Buhari's promises, so they are continuing the loan. No wonder my parish priest want people to donate 1 million naira for altar call during harvest. And then I now remember that at least that one's small compared to Pastor Adeboye calling for 1 billion altar call. As even Ashimo collect his own is dollars. In dollars. Remember, even some Islamic clerics these days are conducting healing services and collecting offering. All in a poor and hungry country where vehicles are floating in gullies and mud that we call road, as our currency is even floating like a yacht already. Even election in this country has been turned into beat, kill, divide, share the money, buy the vote, stuff the ballot paper, or grab it and run with it. After all, there's presumption of correctness in favor of INEC once results are declared. If you don't like, go to court. Look at what happened in Imo, Kogi, and Bayelsa states, their off-cycle election. Was that election or selection? Anyway, now the continuation of the general election in the country. Remember in 2003, general election under Morris Iwu, Obasanjo, and Atiku, ballot papers were dumped in the bush, yet results were announced in those places. So it didn't start in 2015. It started long ago. Well, I hope Dino Melaye, our friend, is not in severe pain after his friend and brother Yaya Bello don't beat him to stupor, like, the Ijo Youth Council. They say with the beat. Like, you remember Udeng Geradiri of Labour Party said with the beat. Abi Dino just used the election to clean out as alleged by some persons. Anyway, time will reveal the rest. But the unfortunate thing is that most people in government today were once heavy critics of previous government policies and action. But unfortunately, are today doing the same thing they once criticized. So shine your eye. Be vigilant. Nobody is fighting for you. Imagine, remember President Bola Tinubu of the APC, when he was opposition leader, insisted that we must restructure the country for there to be progress. But today, he has turned his back on restructuring. Being the president's wife who told us that they are already rich. God has blessed them, that they are just here to serve. But unfortunately today, she's not rejecting the 1.5 billion vehicles. I mean, she don't get motor before. How about our, remember now, our PDP MOU governor, Baseki, who criticized godfatherism, but today also wants to be a godfather, wants to impose somebody. He once said that APC at the center is not bothered about rehabilitating Federal Road. Yet almost all the roads in Edo State are collapsing under his watch. I've been a Labour Party Governor Alex Oti during campaign, even though he's constructing road, but during campaign he said security vote was a fraudulent thing, that governors use it to steal money, and that he will not collect security vote. But unfortunately today, he's collecting 900 million as security vote monthly, and they said he's even higher than his predecessor. And despite promises to reduce cost of governance, he has spent 5.3 billion running the state in 3 months from his house. So look at all the members of the opposition at the National Assembly. Despite their promises to rescue Nigeria during the campaign, how are they different from APC and PDP members? After all, they are all collecting and agreed to share the 160 million SUVs proposed for them, despite the hunger in their various constituencies, as those that send them to Abuja can hardly feed or even fuel their own vehicle, while our Naira is floating aimlessly. And when they leave office, they at least, we still collect humongous and unprecedented pensions. So there are no messiahs anywhere. All I see are a collection of leaders united in liberating their pocket and not yours. So the ball is in your court to liberate yourself. I will therefore advocate until we collectively match the politicians in their game and refuse to be used by them to manipulate the process, while we focus on electing bold, strong, and credible people into our various parliament, both at the federal and the state level, who will not be afraid of a governor or the president, and who will look at the status quo in the face and amend the constitution in conformity with democratic principles and reality, and truly unbundle our system of governance to bring government to the reach of the everyday man. We'll keep believing that election, military rule, or even God will come to help us, while in actual sense, our future and the future of our children unborn is already being borrowed, and we'll end up paying for money that we did not borrow. Our liberation and solution lies within us. Well, it's a fine place to stop until we come again next week. Let's have your comments, and then don't forget to like, share this message so that we can collectively, educate ourselves and refuse to pay for a debt we did not incur. While school gives you certificates, education liberates your mind. So choose one. See you next week.